okay, and kind of how you figure out what you're going to be working with on that homework, okay? So page down, tonight's homework, we've already covered all the different reaction types, okay? So the first thing that you're going to do with tonight's homework is you're going to have to identify what reaction you're working with, okay? So the first one that we're going to look at is this hydrogen plus oxygen, okay? So if you go over to here, you are going to kind of follow through this flow chart. So we are working with hydrogen plus oxygen is what we're looking at, okay? So hydrogen plus oxygen. So are we starting with one reactant? Is there just one thing here? No. So we're going to go over here. Is it a single element? Is this a single element? Is this a single element? Then this is a synthesis reaction 1. So you can go over to your reaction types sheet here. Okay. And you're going to find synthesis reaction type 1, which is this right here. You just have your 2 elements. You're going to bring them together to make a single compound. Okay. So that's how you figure that one out. The next one is, it just says sodium chloride plus iodine. So the next one, go over here. Here's our flow chart. Sodium chloride plus iodine is the next one. So it says sodium chloride plus iodine. Are you starting with one reactant? No. So we go over here. Is it 2 single elements? Is this a single element? No. So we go over here. Is it a metal oxide? Is this a metal oxide? No. So we keep going over here. Is it a metal plus water? Is this a metal plus water? No, there's no water there. So we're going to keep going down here. Does it contain a hydrocarbon? Nope. Keep going over here. Is it an element and a compound? This is an element. This is a compound. So now we're going to go yes. So we're going to go down our page here a little more. Try to get down here a little bit so we can see more down here. So we've identified it as this section here. So we've narrowed it down to this section. Is the single element a metal? Is iodine a metal? No, iodine is not a metal. Is a single element a halogen? Is iodine a halogen? Yes. If more reactive, higher up on the periodic table, then replace, otherwise no reaction. So is iodine higher on the periodic table than chlorine? No. Then what do we write down? No reaction. Do you see how the flow chart works? Okay. The only thing that's not listed in here are your double replacement reactions. So if it's not any of these things, then it's going to be a double replacement. So that's what we have. I guess that is on the flow chart. It's right here. Okay. So follow through the flow chart for your homework tonight. You are going to end up with a quiz where I'm giving you 5 of these types of reactions, and you're going to have to identify them and then figure out what kind of reaction it is and go from there. So that after today's quiz, that's your next quiz, but it doesn't come for several days. Okay. I think it's Thursday or Friday that we do that quiz. All right. You're going to have to respect this process though. Okay. You guys did this back when we were doing formulas. Some of you did not write formulas well in the beginning, but we kept quizzing and we kept quizzing and we kept quizzing until you got it. Okay. And for some of you, you're going to have to do this 3 or 4 times to get it. Other people, they'll get it the first try. Great for them. You know, you excel at other things. You just have to find your thing in life. Okay. This may not be it, but you can do this. You just have to work at it a little harder. Okay. So I'm going to come around. I'm going to give you, I've broken up your quizzes. I've got them all collated together. So your first 3 quizzes you're going to get after you do your double replacement one. You're going to go back and you're going to do corrections on anything that you missed. And you can retake these as many times as you need between now and the test to get a perfect score. Okay. Your grade book right now may not look pretty for chemistry. Okay. But that it's not set in stone. You can make changes to it. Lots of changes to the positive. Okay. You just got to do some of these retakes to get it where you want to be. But that's going to ensure that you get your mastery, because what you're looking at down the road here is I'm going to tell you, okay, you're starting out with 50 grams of this and 25 grams of this stuff. How much are you going to make on the other side? You know, so you start out with 20 grams of this and 30 grams of this. How much of this stuff are you going to make? If you can't write this equation out and balance it, you're not going to be able to do any of the math with it either. So that's why I've got to make sure that you're solid with these things. This isn't like an English class where we just go on to a different book. Like, this stuff builds, and you've got to know, and I'm not disparaging English. I'm just saying that that's kind of a nice thing to be able to walk away from whatever that was and, you know, be able to move on. Here it builds. And so you've got to make sure that you've mastered this stuff before you move on to the next thing. That's why I'm trying to catch you with all these little quizzes, because I'm trying to catch any of the gaps that you have and make sure that we get those filled in before we move on. Okay. So you've got to respect the process. We did this back with Sig Figs. We did this back with the formulas and the naming and everything else. This is not the first time that we've done these like this. Okay. And I got to make sure that you understand this material before we keep moving on. So today's homework is going to be like this. You're going to come back tomorrow. You're going to have another one of these tomorrow, homework like this. Okay. And then on Thursday, you're going to have a quiz where I give you 5 of these and you got to figure out what you're doing. Okay. Then I'm going to teach you something called net ionics, which is just a special way of doing double replacements. We have a lab. We have some review next week in Mastery Prep, and then you have your test. So that's why I've got to make sure that this stuff is all good and solid before we move on to the next unit. Okay.